Hello everyone and welcome to the English Hour. Today we'll talk about military and military service in general. I think this is interesting because both of us will be heading for our military bases sometime soon, and this is both a goodbye episode and a chance to talk about military in general. We're hoping to be back in about 3 to 4 weeks. But, when we're back, we might not have enough energy to start filming or recording another episode. But we're hoping to be back sometime soon. So, Canberk, how do you feel?
I'm feeling excited. I know that I'm going into a place that I've not seen before in my life. I've only been a visitor to one of these military barracks, actually, because of a family, part of my family is military.
Yeah.
But it's like when you're there, first of all, you're a child. And second of all, there's beautiful and cheap ice cream and then friendly people, and that's it. But now I think it's going to be a little different.
Sure. I mean, you're going to be under the rules. You're going to be a different person. Yeah. You even change physically because you shave your hair and beard. You become a different person. If you like long hair, say goodbye to your hair. If you like your beard, say goodbye to your beard. I'm still keeping it, but I guess in a matter of days, my beard will be gone.
And I've already completed my physical transformation.
Yeah, well, I have some way to go, but I started experimenting with short hair.
Oh, yeah.
Just to avoid a last-minute shock.
Yeah, it's good.
I like it. I think it's useful in the
very
summer.
Very practical.
Yeah, it is very practical. I agree. Well, Canberk, I think you will go to Edirne, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the westernmost part of, basically northwesternmost part of Turkey. It's almost Balkans.
Sure. And I'll be at the other end of the country.
Exactly.
I'll be going to Ağrı, and I'm pretty surprised, in fact.
Yeah.
I'll be going to Ağrı, and it's in the southeastern part of Turkey. It's a border city.
Yeah.
And
the polar opposite.
Yeah, it's the polar opposite, kind of. It's gonna be an interesting experience, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think it was even surprising to begin with that you were actually appointed to a city that far away as a paid military service candidate, right?
Yeah, kind of. It's interesting. What is more surprising is the fact that my younger brother, served in Ağrı, Doğu Beyazıt for a year.
Which precludes the possibility that you can actually do that, right?
Yeah, I thought that was not possible. I thought two siblings from the same family would not serve in the eastern part of Turkey because the military tries to sort of spread people from across the country in different cities or from the same family to different cities. But in my case, I talked to them and they said the military tries to make sure that two siblings do not serve in the east if they serve in the same time period.
I see.
So that was a detail that I came to learn.
Yeah, that's very restricted though.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
But it doesn't matter. Yeah, I've talked to several people who served in Ağrı and they seem to be fine. But the thing that kind of was difficult for me was the fact that my brother, as I said, he served along the borderline in Doğu Beyazıt, and it was very tough for him. And he had some very difficult experiences, and as a result, I felt a little anxious.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess I'm fine now. But I guess it's gonna be different and difficult. At a personal level, saying goodbye to your loved ones and being far away. In your case, you're closer because Edirne is closer to Istanbul, obviously. But in my case, being at the other end of the country, far away from family and friends, because there's literally no one I know.
Oh, yeah.
In Ağrı. So it's a transformative experience.
Yeah, we'll see. But, the conditions will definitely be different. We're going under a lot of authority here. Right?
Sure.
The kind of authority that I don't think we have experienced in our lives. I mean, our fathers were figures of authority in our lives, and we had teachers, we had bosses at some point.
Sure.
And I mean, but this is different. It's
Yeah.
like military.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of don't like simply conforming to the rules for the sake of rules. And yeah, that part seems kind of difficult. Because, you know, I mean, our education tried to mold us in a way that would foster critical thinking and, in some cases, defiance.
Yeah.
And the military is not really the place to defy the rules. Then
For either of them. Yeah.
it kind of goes against my nature, but you know, human beings are creatures that can adapt, and we will have to definitely practice that ability for several weeks to see how things go.
Yeah. And also, it's almost like an experiment.
Yeah, it is.
Takes only 3 weeks, which is actually, thank goodness, right? I mean, it could have taken 5 to 6 months, but now it's 3 weeks, so it's very manageable from that perspective.
It is.
And at the same time, it's long enough so that you can actually get the taste of what's going on there, and you can establish a day-to-day existence, like I am in the military.
Yeah.
You can feel that too.
Sure.
So it's best of both worlds, would you call it?
I'm not sure,
Yeah,
but
I'm not
you
sure.
will definitely get to enjoy parts of military life.
Oh, yeah. So paid military service, let's talk about that. So in Turkey, this has been a recently new phenomenon.
Yeah.
Recently new meaning like 2 decades, I guess, over the last 2
You
decades.
can
Maybe
say
even
that.
less than that. So military, for those who don't know or who may not be familiar with the Turkish way of life, is very important to Turks and Turkey. Military has defined our existence as a nation for centuries, basically. And modern Turkey was founded on the back of a war of independence. So military has always been held in high esteem. And that's the reason why everybody places traditionally so much value, so much importance in military service. So there was a time, I guess, right, when people couldn't even get married if they hadn't completed their military service.
That's right.
Yeah. And it's not that far away, right? It's like 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. In some families, this situation might be transpiring right at this very moment.
Yeah.
And some people actually are still adamantly opposed to the idea of having paid military service, but they are in the extreme minority right now because everybody has come to realize that today's military service conditions are not conducive to having a really strong military or having a really strong society, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I would like to approach this issue from a similar perspective, and I definitely favor the formation, maintenance, and support of a modern and strong military, because as a country, your military power can definitely help you to secure peace and prosperity in your region. And we're very close to the Middle East, and
We basically are.
Yeah, we are in the middle of the Middle East, kind of. And we're surrounded by countries that are not very friendly to us.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of conflicts going around. And in order to make sure that you're safe, secure, and in order to make sure that there is peace and prosperity, you definitely need a strong army. Even if you're not at war, you need a strong army to stay secure. Because an army, a strong army, a modern professional army can act as a deterrent to a lot of threats. So as a citizen, I'm definitely in favor of a strong army. But in the modern world, there is an emphasis on specialization. So a lot of people pursue their interests and they specialize in a certain field. You become a teacher, another person becomes a doctor, another person becomes the owner of a bakery, another person operates the fire service, and so on. So people specialize in a certain area, and it really helps with the functioning of the society because it enables a fair and strong and powerful distribution of resources and skills. So in the case of military, I think sending regular citizens to a military base for a couple weeks or a couple months is not really the best way to form a strong military because, you know, arms are changing, ships are changing, jets.
Yeah, fighter jets.
Yeah, fighter jets are changing and so on. So, and the military definitely needs a strong workforce that follows the developments and that is always in line with the latest trends and developments. So, you know, if you are a doctor and if you're serving in the military, you're taking away your time from serving your patients. Or if you're a teacher and you're serving in the military, then that means you're not able to teach your students and guide them. But if you're a full-time soldier, then your goal is to become the best soldier you can become, like shoot perfect shots or like make the best maneuvers, build your muscle and stuff. And in that regard, I think specialization is definitely needed. And a lot of armies are going the professional route. Like, for example, I think the German army, the US army, the British army. There are not many countries that have like mandatory military service, or the most modern ones are not mandatory. Like the US Army is not mandatory, or the British Army is not pursuing a mandatory military service from its citizens, or the French or the German Army. They don't apply an obligatory military service to their citizens. So it's a different story. And if you're looking up to those kinds of militaries as a form of inspiration, then I think there's a lot to learn from their experiences. And personally, as I said, I definitely believe that a professional army is needed because being a soldier to me is not a transient thing. It's a profession. It has its rules, its habits, its standards and traditions, and a specific lifestyle, a specific characteristic. So it definitely helps to form a professional army.
Yeah.
And by way of specialization, it helps the entire society at large. That's basically how I feel.
Yeah, I agree. If you think about the reverse scenario about anything, things become clearer. Like, think about doing other professions in rotation.
Sure.
Like we're trying to do military service in rotation. Think of people coming to this office and trying to teach in lieu of you or any other person. How good of a job are they going to really do, right?
Yeah, I would not really trust a doctor who underwent training for only, 6 months.
Cardiac surgery.
Yeah, for 4 weeks or so on.
Oh yeah, it's not gonna fly. It's really not possible. So what I think the government is trying to do is maybe bring some sort of order, some sort of standardization in which basically all men, all able-bodied men of this country are ready, or to a certain extent, a very small extent, prepared in the case of emergencies. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
But actually, I don't know how this should be achieved. It's a really difficult bill to foot. It's not easy because we have millions of people that are eligible for military service in the current set of circumstances.
Yeah.
However, those people, we need all of them, all of their brains and hearts and ambitions and dreams to build a country for us, for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
We need to strengthen our economy, strengthen our democracy. We're fighting these wars, and these are real wars. Like, strengthening your economy is a real war, and it's really difficult. And it's actually in terms of its impacts, it's a more real war than many of the conflicts out there, like the Karabakh conflict. It's like a ghost conflict that has been lingering for decades and nothing is happening. It's an intractable situation. There's no will for a political solution. So it's a conflict that we sometimes may have to intervene militarily, or maybe our neighbors might. And, it's nothing in comparison to what we're experiencing with the currency wars and everything going on with our economy. It's much more tangible, right? It touches the lives of millions.
And the thing is, I think in order to hurt a country, you don't need boots on the ground.
Yeah, you don't.
You just need to weaken their economy. You just need to weaken their social system.
Yeah,
you just need to sow hatred and
definitely
injustice into that country.
Yeah.
And that can serve a hostile country much better.
Definitely.
I mean, the thing is, like, if there's famine, droughts, if there is lack of social services, if there is lack of money and food in a country, then it will lead to a lot of conflicts, a lot of turmoil, a lot of clashes, even bloodshed.
Yeah.
And you don't need to do anything.
Yeah.
Like, if you are a belligerent nation, you don't really need to put boots on the ground to fight with the other country.
Just sit beside and let the country eat itself. Right?
Yeah. And it's very sad. Like,
yeah.
You have to be strong economically.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely a must in today's conditions. Because these days we don't wage wars with swords and horses.
We don't, yeah.
And if you don't understand that, if you do not upgrade your mentality, then you're going to suffer big time.
Yeah. And by the way, you said that all of the technology is changing, the warfare technology. Actually, the very troops that we're talking about, these human troops, I need to call them human because things are changing so drastically.
Sure.
Even troops are changing. Sometime later, within this decade maybe, one of the most developed countries, maybe one or two, might be deploying some AI, robotic troops on the ground. It's very real. They have the technology that they can bring together to make something happen. And it's evolving at a faster rate every single year. So they're going there. And I think that's the future of the army, actually.
That is.
You need to keep up with that. You need to find a way.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the thing is, as I said, wars are not being waged with swords. Like, for example, I think currently we do not have nuclear weapons. And, like, possessing nuclear weapons can act as a huge deterrent against outside threats.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, in our case, imagine country A is in fight or in war with country B. Like, if country A has the most advanced technology, and if country B only has manpower and primitive technology, then in that case, the first country can easily sort of destroy the second country without really putting boots on the ground. So, like, you can send missiles, you can send fighter jets, you can send advanced bombs and so on. Yeah. And you can basically destroy a whole country without leaving your seat, right?
Yeah,
for example, there were news of American unmanned aerial vehicles killing civilians in Afghanistan and in other countries from like thousands of miles away, just like they were playing video games.
That's right.
Which is like inhumane and horrible, but this is how things work right now.
Yeah. Well, they are very clear on the idea that they don't want to put their servicemen in harm's way. So they don't want to risk the lives or the well-being of their own military servicemen, of their own soldiers. But we have to, because we don't have the technology that they do, but we're trying to develop it. But if we want to develop it, we're going to need scientists and R&D experts, and we need physicists and technology experts, all of these guys. And if we're sending these guys at the prime of their lives to military service, then there's a problem that we need to really be thinking about.
It's short-sighted.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you can sort of train people. You can even teach them certain skills. But in the grand scheme of things, in the current military environment, it's not a long-lasting cure.
I agree.
Because, like, if a country has, like, carriers, like maybe 3 or 4 jet carriers out in the ocean, and it's like a moving country of fighter jets.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to deal with that?
It's difficult.
It's difficult. Yeah. Or if a country has, like, nuclear submarines that can last or travel for months in the ocean and can do all sorts of damage to commercial ships,
to port cities,
and so on. Like, how are you going to deal with it? It seems very difficult.
Not with manpower. That much is certain.
Not with swords. Not with arrows or bows.
Yeah, you're going to need to up your game.
Definitely. So that part I find very intriguing.
Yeah. And, you know, on the opposite side of the spectrum, I personally would have liked, I mean, maybe I shouldn't be speaking in the past tense because I'm going into, to do my military service, but I would actually like to benefit from the discipline and the lifestyle, certain lifestyle components of the military service and the military in general, because they do maintain high discipline.
Sure.
And after a while, I think it becomes a habit, and having good habits is a surefire way of success in life in every venue. Like, if you want to do your job well, you need to have discipline. If you want to have good relationships, you need to have discipline. I think forging discipline through this, like, stringent, series of drills and trainings and everything could be harsh at times, but at the same time, I think it serves a purpose. The problem is, just like, running a country or running a foreign policy, you have, like, securities, you have liberties. You need to think of how you can navigate the, difficult waters of where you draw the line. Like, you want to protect the freedoms of your citizens. You don't want to restrict their lifestyle. At the same time, you want to introduce security checks so that you can keep them safe. Just like, airports, right?
Yeah. We
have all of these, like, different machines that we go through. Just going through 3 lines to get to your plane takes like 30 to 45 minutes at the minimum. So it's a lot of time being wasted. But at the same time, it's necessary because of what happened in the past and might happen. Yeah, might happen in the future. So it's like, it's very hard to draw the line. But, you have to move the goalpost a little bit further in this day and age, And this paid military service becoming mainstream, I think this is only one facet of a growing problem that people are becoming aware of. You can't really be sending 20-year-olds, in the millions, in the hundreds of thousands to military service and risk not being able to benefit from their talents, their ambitions, their dreams in this day and age. You can't really do that and stake a claim at being a superpower, a global power, a regional power. You can't really do that.
Sure. I mean, I guess in the near future, Turkey will transition into a professional military force, and there are steps that have been taken in that direction. So, for example, I think currently people serving in the army, like people completing their military service, can opt to stay in the military and be, like, paid military officers. So that's an option. Mm-hmm. So it's a step in the professional army direction. And the latest laws will probably accelerate the process, because now people can serve in the military for a month and then pay a certain fee to be exempt from the rest of the military service. And the whole military service is now has been reduced to 6 months, right?
I guess, like, I've heard of 6 months and 9 months, but both would be, either would be lower than what we had a year ago.
Yeah, a full year.
Yeah, a full year. Yeah.
So it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I think like funding the military in a professional way and like assigning goals, both goals from the perspective of manpower and technological goals, such as upgrading the existing systems and infrastructure, would definitely help.
Yep.
But I think one of the problems, the main problem recently has been the lack of stability in the region. Because when things are moving, when there are a lot of moving pieces, you can't really upgrade things because, if it ain't broke, do not fix it.
Yeah.
Kind of. Because a major transformation requires a major shift either in thinking or in the current set of affairs.
And also it requires major downtime. So
downtime and major investment.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Yeah, like investment in the billions of dollars.
That's right. Actually, we were trying to do it with the F-35 jets, but now the United States is cutting us off because we're getting these.
I mean, it wouldn't really work because some describe F-35 program as a get-rich scheme because the U.S. simply plans to sell F-35 for years or for decades to come, and all the data goes to the centers in the U.S. and you don't really have any sovereignty over your planes. Like you can't. I mean, if it does not provide spare parts, you're doomed.
Yeah.
Like if it does not provide the software, you're doomed because you see the U.S. simply uses power to get what it wants. And
Definitely.
If you are not on the same page with the U.S. or if you do not see eye to eye on certain matters, you might find yourself being sanctioned.
That's right.
And it's a real possibility. And
right.
in that case, like Turkey has paid like probably billions of dollars, more than one and a half billion, I guess. But it just went into thin air. Kind of. Yeah, that's how I see it.
That's right. And so
if you do not own your technology, then you cannot really stake a claim to anything because it can be taken away.
And also, the owner of any technology never really cedes control of that technology in the truest sense possible. It's like, and as a sovereign nation, you need the provider of the technology to really take their hands off the technology. And if possible, and that's what we've been pursuing with Russia, I guess, if possible, they need to ensure some sort of a transfer of technology so that you can begin to build your own technology. And that's really important for a country like Turkey. We need to be able to do that now.
Yeah.
If we can't really keep up. And, air defense is so important.
I think it matters to every country. Like,
it does.
I mean, I'm not specifically talking about Turkey, but I mean, each and every country has the right to live in peace and prosperity. Like, it's very sad that, like, a couple major players, like one or two countries, are trying to sort of mess with the whole world, like cause wars, cause regional instabilities. We know who they are.
Yeah.
I won't
warmongers.
Yeah. I don't have to name the names, but you know who they are. So, I think each country has the right to live in peace and prosperity, to have stability. And in order to ensure that, each country has to make sure that it's powerful, it can protect itself.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's not the case
right.
in today's conditions.
So basically, you were saying that F-35s were basically Trojan horses, like
they are,
in a sense.
And the thing is, there are allegations that already their secrets have been stolen by Russia and China. So it's basically a stillborn project.
Yeah, it's not that far-fetched because China and Russia, they have their eyes set on the big prize, in terms of being a superpower.
And the US is not really able to execute the project either.
Yeah.
There are a lot of delivery problems, logistics problems, software problems. So they're having a lot of issues.
Yeah, it really has been dodgy. The whole process has been full of botched efforts, really. The US has never been very elegant in the way it approaches diplomacy. But militarily, they're the strongest. They have the strongest army in the world. But I don't think they're going to be able to keep their edge for much longer.
That is true. I mean, the thing is, technology is improving, but the interesting part is that there are contenders to U.S. power.
Yeah.
Like maybe China, Russia. I'm not able to think of anyone else. Like major.
India
the major contend. Maybe India. India and Pakistan to a certain degree. But like from a technological point of view, I think China is really catching up.
Yeah.
And AI and robotics will definitely play a huge role in future military endeavors.
And China is big on them.
Yeah. China is making leaps and a lot of progress. The thing is, but the US also has a lot of the talent when it comes to robotics and AI, like Boston Dynamics. A lot of international monopolies are also located in the US, and they have the intellectual capacity. So, like, they might not be able to upgrade their maybe mechanical parts, but they are definitely ready and capable of the next era.
Yeah, I agree. I think the super soldiers are, next in the pipeline.
Yeah.
I think we're very, very close now. With the things that Boston Dynamics has been dangling in the face of all of the other countries, it's really surprising. The things that those robots can do, like Atlas, right?
Yeah.
That is like
impressive.
It's a 6 foot robot that's like humanoid. It has arms and legs and a torso of a human being. It's very similar. And the things that it's been doing, it's like backflips and running in the harsh terrain and like lifting things up, like heavy things. And it's very, very capable. Honestly,
I mean, I'm not sure if I could compete with it. I cannot do backflips.
Yeah, that's true for most of us, And I think the only thing that it's missing is, like, you can definitely find people to maneuver it. There's no problem with that. There are enough Call of Duty and first-person shooter players out there that you can find. Like, more than half, I guess, of the U.S. population are gamers now. So it's like 180 million people are gamers in the United States. And the average, age of the gamer has risen to 35.
Hello.
And like most people that are being surveyed in these studies say that they think that they're gonna play games for the rest of their lives. So I think this number is only bound to rise. So it's very easy to create the interface, like a gaming interface with the keyboard and the mouse, or like a gamepad or something, and give the control of one of these super soldiers to a really avid gamer and have real success on the battlefield. And it's not really far-fetched anymore. You can really do that.
Yeah.
And it's scary. I mean,
it is definitely
not
scary.
really fun to think about.
I mean, I'd like to live in a world where there would be no wars and conflicts and each country would respect each other.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
That would be good, yeah. Especially for the Middle East, it'll be like oasis in a desert.
It'd be a dream.
Yeah.
Because there are always fires around us, Syrian conflict, problems with Iran, problems with Russia from time to time.
Because we need to
Iraqi conflicts.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just so easy to figure out, but you might sometimes miss the bigger picture. All of us do. It's, one thing that we all need to keep in mind about warfare, I guess, is that there's always somebody out there, especially a collection of people, not just a person, that have a vested interest in the existence of never-ending cycles of violence and conflict. And that's always going to be the case in the world, unfortunately.
I mean, the US is one of the biggest, it's the biggest weapons.
Yeah. It has all the gangs out there, like warmongers, all of the... just think of F-35s, right? Why do we need $30 to $50 million worth of fighter jets out there, in the air, while you can take that money and like
Invest it in
invest it
education.
in education, or you can even buy like airplanes to carry people, and even that would
For
be
free.
yeah, that would be much more fun, and that would provide a much higher quality service. But you need them because there are going to be conflicts. So you need them because there are conflicts. So there need to be conflicts so that you will need them. Because
Sure.
if you don't need them, you're not going to buy them. So
Definitely.
the provider of the technology and provider of the actual equipment is or could be the source of some of these conflicts.
Yeah. Could be incentivized to create conflicts.
Definitely.
Pseudo conflicts.
And that's what's going on. And us, ordinary citizens, are going to be the grass under the feet of these elephants, unfortunately,
Which is sad.
with these military things. But
I wish every country had the power and the ability to defend and protect itself and provide its citizens with the good life.
yeah,
Well, I think this pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
I mean, the issue of military service, transformation in the military, technology, and so on, these are all kind of interrelated and complex issues, and untangling them and really providing a clear picture is difficult and maybe beyond my capacity at this point because I'm not a military expert.
yeah,
I am talking as a regular citizen
me too.
with a certain level of education in different areas, and I'm trying to sort of make an informed decision, make an informed comment on what might happen.
Yeah. So we're going, next week we're going to go and become cogs.
Part of the military.
Yeah, cogs in the wheel of
Yeah.
this huge military complex. But I think our experience, compared to the experience of the overwhelming majority of Turkish citizens, I think, is going to be a little more positive. And we might even be able to take a pause and learn some things, because when you're under such authority, I think you don't really get to I'm going to, just take a second here and I'm going to observe, take in what I've been experiencing for the last few weeks. I think most people can't really do that. They're not given the chance, but I think we might.
Yeah, well, I think there's also an interesting part to this whole thing, and it's maybe in our blood, but no matter how much I complain about things, I think it's like, I guess I'll be proud to serve in the Turkish army.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
with
I
that
guess
thought.
it's in my blood. It feels good. I'll be serving in the Turkish army. I'm a member of this country. I'm a citizen of this country. And no matter how small a contribution I might make, I'll be a part of this moment.
Totally,
so
I agree. And
it's
also,
interesting.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, you can criticize something, but still feel proud of it.
Yeah, because the intention behind it is, what constitutes this entire country and society. So
yeah. Well, I'll be a proud soldier next week, and I'm hoping to serve you there. And when I come back, that's it. Well,
yeah,
see
hopefully.
you in a month.
All right, bye guys.
Bye, guys.